All right, today we're talking work-related stress on my banner this morning. It's Monday, and a lot of us are stressed already. It's almost inevitable to avoid the pressure at our workplaces in our contemporary times. That is apart from the pressure we have to endure at home also on a daily basis. For some professionals, the race to meet deadlines and the like keeps them active at post, especially on dull days. But when that pressure becomes unmanageable or excessive, it leads to stress that can damage your health. So how do we deal with stress from the workplace, and is there a way of avoiding the stress altogether at our workplace? My guest is Dr. Emmanuel Chemating Amoa. He's an occupational health physician with the Ghana Health Service. He joins me in studio to discuss the issue. Good morning to you, Doc.
Good morning.
Do you get stressed?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
We all do.
Is there a special stress that comes with Mondays, even though we've gone for the weekend? You know, Monday you kind of...
Yeah, exactly. You know, Mondays are when you're going to begin the week, and people anticipate, even the anticipation of the workload or anticipation of work, the traffic, you know, that comes with it alone gives, you know, people stress. So yes, the weekend you are good, you've relaxed. But even these days, the weekends can get sometimes even busier or, you know, equally busy as the working days.
Sure.
And so, you know, Monday comes and people are, you know, like apprehensive, you know, and they literally have to like drag themselves, you know, to go to work, and people are stressed, even when they've not yet reached their workplaces. So yes, that is.
So what is stress?
There are so many definitions, so many explanations for stress, but to keep it simple, I would quote the one from the Health and Safety Executive UK that says that stress is the adverse reaction people give out when they are placed under excessive pressure or when demands beyond their capacity is placed on them.
Okay.
So there's a thin line between the everyday pressure. Of course, you know, you cannot live life without pressure. Even the newborn baby, you know, right at conception, it's a struggle, it's a fight to win the race and come out, you know, into this world. So as long as you are born, you deal with a lot of issues. The change comes, or the line comes, when what is placed on you, and just as you said in your intro, is beyond what one can adequately bear given one's resources.
So pressure is not stress?
No, pressure is not stress. Pressure is not stress. Once you're able to manage it and, you know, come up with it, I mean, that's fine. Because let's say you come to work, you are given some tasks to do, that can be a kind of pressure. But if within your resources you are well trained, you have the time, you know, and everything, you can perfectly execute it and you are good. And in fact, it's even rewarding that you've been able to achieve such a feat. But if for some reason, whatever they've given you, it's so much beyond you in terms of your capacity, resource, the time, and they are on you, you know, getting the report, deadlines, and it's just driving you, you know, into another world, then that will begin to trigger certain reactions in the human body, and then you would experience it as stress.
So it means that there's nothing like good stress or positive stress.
Well, there is, you know, as I said, but I think it's all about terminology. If you're given some pressure, which would bring about your optimum performance, and you can perform the task within, you know, your resource and acceptable limits, that is good. And in fact, it's termed eustress. So that is pressure that is not beyond you, pressure that brings up to your performance to the optimal level.
Okay.
Just as you can handle it. Okay, so that is the pressure. That is, you can coin it as a good stress. The everyday stress, you say, oh, you know, he's not managing, he can't stress, is the de-stress or distress, you know, the DIS.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
Yeah. So that is gone beyond what you can bear. So this is pressure, but it's beyond your capacity. For example, you have, let's say, 100 Ghana cedis, you want to do maybe some light soup, and you go to the market, and you know, you buy everything, and you round up to, let's say, 90 Ghana cedis. You have something perhaps to take your transport back home. You are good. You've been challenged by a pressure of the prices of the items, but your resources well able to manage it. But if you want to cook a meal for, let's say, friends coming over, and you have that same 100 cedis, and you go shopping and, you know, the prices are like almost 150, 200, right there you have some financial distress because the pressure is there, you have some capacity, but what has been placed before you is really way beyond what you can bear. And so then you may have to now manage it. Do I cut some things down? Do I go borrowing? You know, what do I do to meet this pressure which is presently beyond my capacity? So that is like, you know, like an example I can give for that.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when I'm stressed, I realize that I get frustrated. Is there a link?
Yes, there is. Now, as I said, what you experience is because there are certain things happening within the system. So, you know, when you are good, you are within your normal, or you're at home with yourself, you have, you know, sorts of chemicals playing out. But when the body is challenged, let's say you are at home or you're moving and then you see a snake, all of a sudden you begin to change. Your heart begins to beat a bit faster. You are looking for ways to survive. You flee, and people do things they never thought they could have done. You know, like jumping high walls and all that. And so that is because you have chemicals like cortisol, like adrenaline, like all kinds of chemicals being released to prepare the body to face it. So when people are stressed or when they are faced with something that they think is beyond them, then let me put in the maybe they don't think straight, as it were. You know, these chemicals are all interplaying in your system.
Yeah.
So
in fact, that's the exact word that I use sometimes. Like, I'm not thinking straight.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, in a normal circumstance, you would have thought through this thing very well. Let's say they give you an answer, you would have thought through it. But because something is really bugging you or sitting on top of your mind, you cannot think through it well, and you are easily irritated. You are frustrated, and some play it out in many forms. They either, you know, if a colleague is asking you a question which is not a question that should get you, you know, angry, but you easily
just flare up.
You know, you flare up. Sometimes you take it to family, children, spouses, relationships, and you know, sometimes you just become unbearable to accommodate or to live with, and people become she's become something else these days, or he's become something, or you know, and sometimes even dogs or pets at home feel the impact of your stress because you know, you instead of the warm reception you give to them, right now they realize that no, I think my master is stressed, so they even hide away from you. So yeah, there are all kinds of reactions we play out, and sometimes we don't even know we are stressed. That's the danger. So there's the acute phase where perhaps you are driving to work and somebody bumps your car. You know, that's an immediate thing. Of course, you stress, you come out. If you're able to resolve it, that is good. But sometimes you are stuck in maybe a relationship or maybe a job that you feel miserable in the job, and you can't leave the job because of financial reasons, or there's a particular health condition, something that you are in, okay, or perhaps you live so far away from your workplace and for some reason you are never able to leave home early. So chronically you get to work late, you are stressed in traffic, you get home late, you have to sleep late, wake up early, and you are in this cycle that you never seem to get out of. So that becomes chronic, and that is where the danger is, as it can lead to a lot of disease. And as I said, sometimes you don't even know that something is happening to you.
So can we break it down? So how do you know that perhaps this is what you're experiencing, so you kind of like seek for help?
Yeah, that's a very important question. And I guess we get to the managing it. And one of the key things is to know your stressors and your senses. So know your stressors. What are the things that stresses you up? For example, you know, we talk about the traffic issue. Somebody can be fine with traffic. I mean,
is there somebody who is fine with traffic?
Well, I'm using fine advisably, as in, you know, you are stuck in the traffic.
Cool, but they are cool.
Exactly. You know, somebody will flare up, won't it car move?
Yeah.
Why is the light still red?
Yeah.
Why is the policeman stopping us? Oh my word, what? Another person would find ways and means to either make a phone call, of course, when you are not driving.
Maybe let the radio take your attention.
Listen
play
to some
music.
favorite, exactly, you know, chat with a friend, perhaps do some WhatsApp, do some reading. What has changed? The traffic is still there, but the responses are different. And because the responses are different, the outcomes will be different. For the guy who is looking at the traffic light, banging his hand, even sometimes stepping on the accelerator, though he's not driving, his reaction or his outcome becomes different because he upsets his system. His heart may begin to race, he may begin to sweat. But the one who has other techniques to manage that same situation, which has not been taken away, also comes out differently. So know the things that really puts you on edge, that you cannot manage it. And then know how you feel. For some, as you said, it's frustration. Others begin to feel dizzy. In fact, for some people, they tend to cut down on meals. They skip meals. Others also eat so much. So they go home and they are always eating. And really it's because they are feeling a void or they are stressed. Others take on to binging. They take a lot of alcohol. Others perhaps may have, unusual sexual encounters. Just they find ways.
Unusual sexual encounters.
Exactly.
Just to get over the stress.
Exactly, because there's something, bugging them. Like people sometimes take a lot of alcohol and you ask them and say, Charlie, I want to get over my troubles, or when I take the alcohol, it would numb you to numb your senses, and so you are not, you are not in reality check. Kind of you go off zone, but when it wears out, you come back to reality. Yeah. So know the things that causes you stress. Know how your body responds. For some, it's the chest pain, it's palpitation, heart beating. As I said,
that's dangerous, isn't it?
It is, and we've had several cases. You go to the health facilities and you have young people who are perhaps at the peak of their lives, coming down with a lot of conditions which we didn't used to have. And for a good number of them, you can't trace them to excessive load or a lot of issues that they are dealing with at work. The problem is there is a thin interface between what people go through in their normal life and then at work, because you are the same person. So if you have issues with lifestyle or issues happening at home which is stressing you, and you come to the workplace, already you have had your level, and then the workplace also presents its own unique set of experiences that could also add up to you being stressed. And so the workplace has its own unique set. The American Physiological Association, Psychological Association did a research, and work, stress coming from work placed number 2. Of course, the number 1 was money. Number 2 is work related. Number 3 is family issues, and then the last one was health concerns. And so, chest pain, palpitations, hypertension, depression, which can go on to, let's say, substance abuse or more adaptive symptoms. We've talked about people taking a lot of alcohol. All manifest as people go through all these.
Can you tell yourself in the workplace that I will not be stressed? It's one thing saying to yourself.
That's right.
But can you not experience it? Can you avoid it?
You can experience it. You can experience it. So if we know the things that causes it, so just to talk about a few of the
if you have a boss who is always on you, I mean, what he wants you to do and the way he even says it just stresses you.
Exactly.
There's nothing you can do about him.
Exactly. I mean, so you would realize that as you go through the courses, there are those that are avoidable and there are those that are unavoidable.
Okay.
So in managing it, you look at it in these 2 categories. Which ones of these can I manage or can I avoid? You cannot change your boss. So how? Unless
you're fortunate and then he's fired or something.
Exactly. Or unless you exit.
Okay.
Okay. Unless you exit. So how do I deal with this boss who, from your perspective, is unreasonable, is too demanding, is mean sometimes, does not want to consider anything, just want the work to be done? Because of course your boss may also have other superiors who are tasking him and who are also even putting stress on him.
Yeah.
So they have to come and put the stress.
But it's most annoying when they want you to do it just the way they want it.
Yes.
I mean, they don't want to hear anything from you.
So do you need to retrain yourself? Do you need to now readjust? Do you need to relearn? do you need to say, okay, this is how my boss is? Can I learn to, stay with him? There's an adage in the local parlance that it's someone who wants to stay with you. He's the one who tells you his likes or dislikes, And I guess it's in in a relationship, this person is difficult to handle. But if you can learn and adjust and perhaps relearn, unlearn, and accommodate, you may be able to live with the person. People have lived with intolerable bosses and like, have you been working with this man for all this woman for all this while? How did you manage it? So one person can do that, another person cannot do that. So see if you are able to retrain yourself to meet the person's demand. Mm-hmm. If it's becoming unbearable, of course, not all of us can fit in certain work environments. You may have to find alternatives and for the sake of your health, find other things to do. And if one of the things in the workplace is people doing work that they just don't like. They don't have a like for their work. It is not in resonance with their passion. They have to drag themselves to this work. They just don't like it.
So they're just perhaps working because of the money they will get at the end of the month.
Exactly.
They must survive.
They must survive. It's in a survival mode. But you see, if you're doing work that is in tune with your passion, your skills, you don't even consider it as work. And we may have heard this and it may sound like, oh, they keep saying, but really it is true. I mean, somebody who is in love with his work doesn't even consider it as work. Like, you've been working all day. Really? Let's take an artist who is in love with his paint. He can sit at his studio all day, and he even loses track of time. He's like, oh, it's already 12. I didn't even know time was going. But give it to someone who just does not like it. Mm-hmm. And within the first hour, he's, what's the time? He's already fidgeting because it is not in resonance with what the person is. Mm-hmm. If you find yourself in such a situation, what do you do? Two things. It's either you begin to cultivate, I say that begin to date your work. What are some of the things in this work that I can begin to like? Because this is what I am faced with now. And the good book says that whatever you do, do it with all your might. So this is what I'm stuck with. Can I do it so well? There's a saying that even if you are a street sweeper, sweep so well that people will say that here was a guy who did his work so well and so impeccable that there can never be a replacement of you. So though you may not like it so well, you have now begun to date your work and find things in it that will make you or make the work likable to you. If you cannot do that, then begin to look for things that are in consonance with your system. Because you see, even if you have a normal work schedule and the work is not the type you want, you'll be stressed. Even if nobody is giving you external pressures, within yourself there's a conflict. So the normal thinking process you need to go through, the normal relaxing hormones you need to have and chemicals is not there. There's a conflict and there's a struggle within you. So already you as a person, there's a conflict within yourself. The least thing anybody else does just trips you and say, I'm tired and really when they do your job or task analysis, you realize that this is work that any person should be able to do within the given confines. Yeah. So that is one. And then sometimes you are giving workload that is too low or too high. You see that this work I'm being underutilized. You may not think it causes stress, but it does. That I think I could have done so much, but I am being underutilized at this place. It kills your creativity. It dulls you. Yeah. You cannot progress because you are doing work that is really below you. So in terms of quality, in terms of quantity, if it is low or if it is so high up, beyond what you can take, that can also give you some. So
in that instance, what do you do? Do you go asking for more responsibilities?
Well, you may have to, or be creative and create more work for yourself. Like maybe you've been given this task, but what can you also bring on board? Yeah, maybe it's a developing company and you've been asked to perhaps develop this here, but there's really no so much work. And that's where I think the difference comes in. If it is work that you love, you would create the work. You say, oh boss, can we do this? Can we try this? You drive yourself. But for someone who is really, well, I'm just here for my salary. If this is what you want me to do, hey, I can spend the rest of the time to do my own, my own job. That will not help. At the end of the day, you realize that you are really not even happy with your work, because you, as I said, you need a little level of challenge to drive you to get you to that optimal performance. You've talked about deadlines, which you said rightly so, and deadlines, if it is sometimes it just drives you, out of your comfort zone. And then bullying and harassment, that it can be from co-workers, it can be from your superiors, and that can really affect you. So people are really not happy to enter into a working environment, because there's someone there who always, says derogatory statements, does things which really, puts this person in a place of ridicule. So, on and on. And one of the things that also troubles us is sometimes even our own lifestyles, that we are not able to manage ourselves well. And for these days, there's a lot of pressure and stress. A lot of people are cutting down on their sleep. Okay, there's what I call the dangerous triad. When you have less control over your work. Okay, so today they say go here, tomorrow they say no, you were supposed to have done this, not today, do this. They call in the middle of work, stop, go here. You don't know what the day holds for you. You don't know what tomorrow holds. That alone can cause someone stress. So if you don't have control over your job, if you have excessive work demand, and you're also cutting down on your sleeping hours, you are set up for...
You're killing yourself slowly.
You are setting up yourself for perhaps some major cardiovascular heart-related issues. Okay, I mean, we've had CEOs or people who have collapsed at their job place, and in so many industries. This industry is particularly, high risk. So many industries where you are working around the clock, you have to wake up.
What if you enjoy it?
That is the, I wouldn't say danger, but that is the subtlety. It is subtle. You enjoy the drive, you enjoy the adrenaline, you enjoy waking up 2 a.m., okay, and not sleeping, because you enjoy sleeping like just for 3 hours, and that is you. Oh, I'm good, and you can, hey, me, I can do with 3 hours. There's a story of one of the youngest CEOs in India. He was 42 years old, impeccable sportsman, eats well, does everything well, but his issue was cutting down on sleep. And he said he could do with like 4 hours, and he was fine. And he would jog, he would do all kinds of things, but he died suddenly, just died suddenly from a massive cardiac attack. And that was because he was cutting down on his sleeping hours. And you may not realize, initially I talked about the chronic stress, where you don't even know that, Charlie, I'm getting so you may enjoy it, but begin to listen to your body. Sometimes the body speaks, but we ignore it. The body speaks, but we numb it with energy drinks, with all kinds of things to keep us going. And even when we have to sleep, we say, oh no, let me do this. But it gets to a point where the body just have to stop you. Okay.
Is this one of those that you can just go to the hospital and say, I want to check my stress level?
There are instruments, or there are assessments that your doctor can take you through, or your psychologist can take you through, like a questionnaire, okay, and ask you certain questions, and depending on your responses, you can tell, oh, I think you are getting stressed, or I think you are not managing, you are not keeping perhaps your work-life balance properly, okay. And then also, it can manifest in bodily symptoms. So, as I said, people can begin to have palpitations, people can begin to have changes upon their heart. So perhaps when your doctor does your, ECG or other heart checks, they may realize that, oh, your levels are high. There are hormones that the body also releases. One of them is called cortisol. It is in the body already, but sometimes you have elevated levels. So we can also measure that and realize that perhaps it's been increased beyond what is supposed to be. That can be checked out. Okay. But aside that, you may not, they may run out the labs sometimes, and you may not find anything. Like someone, you may feel you are sick, you go to the hospital, they think it's this, they run all kinds of the battery of tests, and you just will not find any positive lab result. The doctor tells you, I think you are fine per your result, but you say, no, I don't feel fine. You know, I once saw a patient who came in and you know, had several complaints from headache, dizziness, chest pains, body pain, you know, so many. And she had done all kinds of tests, okay, and now wanted to do, came to another facility, wanted to do a whole, like, you know, total body, just check me up, you know. We ran the labs and we really do not see anything really in there. And then begin to ask him, are you going through anything? Initially there was denial, but upon further probing, she was going through a lot of relationship issues with husband. She had attempted suicide twice, okay. Now, these are mental issues, mental health issues, which are manifesting physically. And so she's experiencing all these things. Perhaps the labs may not be picking them up, but these are things that he's going through, because the WHO defines health as a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just the absence of disease. So you may not be physically, perhaps, you know, maybe you don't have a cat, but if mentally you are not sound, you are not healthy. If there's anything socially that is also upsetting you, you are not healthy.
Okay, sure. So finally, just before we wrap up, how do you stop yourself from carrying that work stress home? Because you don't want your children or your spouse to suffer from something that they have not contributed to.
Exactly. That is an ongoing battle. All of us need to work at it, because sometimes there are times that you occasionally you may not be able to perhaps stop yourself, because perhaps you have to carry work home. But I think you need to live in the present. You need to be conscious of yourself, okay? Because you've come to work, you may have issues. So, like, leave work at work. I know it's very easy saying that, right?
But
leave work at work. And realize that when work closes, everybody goes home. No matter how productivity, you know, wants to be achieved, everyone goes home or goes to their homes. Would you want to destroy your home? Would you want to, you know, break your home? Because if you break your home, then that's it. And these are, you know, in terms of managing it, you need to even invest in the resources that will help you. And key is your relationships, okay, apart from building your own immunity and perhaps learning new skills and time management and all that. You don't want to destroy the very people who would support you.
Sure.
You know, I mean, there's a saying that if you fall up today at work, trust me, in a few hours you'll be replaced.
Yes.
Okay. Who will bear the brunt? Your family, your loved one. They would have to sit with whoever you've left. So let us learn. It's as you said, it's easier said than done. It will take a conscious effort to, you know, when we go home, let's know we are home, and let's engage with our family and build that store, because one day we'll need them. You know, when you are stressed, you go home, you have a listening ear. I tell you, even by talking about it, you feel a bit better, you know, with a pad and perhaps a drink or whatever. You feel a bit better. One of the key things is let's sleep well, or let's make sure that we are getting the required, you know, hours of sleep that would help to revive us.
All right. I like very much what you said about, I mean, home, that's the last place.
You know.
And that's where you belong, actually. The workplace, you're just there for a couple of hours. Yeah. Okay, I'll make a conscious effort. Don't take stress home, Mama V. But I appreciate your time. Thank you so much on this one. Dr. Emmanuel Chemating Amoa is with the Ghana Health Service. Hope, and I know really deep down that what he said has been really helpful. So let's practice it. Okay, so that's it for my banner. Coming up next is Gladys Osei Oriedu, and she's good. All the entertainment courtesy Airtel right here. Stay with us.